So welcome everybody to this latest video on 162 Maths, and in this video we'll be going over the AQA GCSE Maths paper of June-November 2021, Foundation Paper 2, which is a calculator paper. Now we'll include a link to the paper for you to have an attempt at if you've not done so already, which I strongly recommend you do to see what you know and what you don't know. Before watching through this video, as we go through the solutions, and I'll also include a question breakdown so you can see that if there are any questions that you're not sure about, you can see what topic each question refers to. And I'll also include the grade boundaries to the individual paper so you can see what grade you've got once you've totaled up your score. So let's get started working through this June-November 2021 Foundation Paper 2, which is a calculator paper. So looking at question 1, it says circle the factor of 32. So basically, which of these numbers can you divide by 32 without leaving a remainder? And the correct answer you should have is going to be our first option, which is 16. It then says for question 2, y is 3 more than x. So circle the equation. So if y is 3 more than x, then we need to add 3 to x for it to equal y. So the correct answer we should have circled is our second option of y equals x plus 3. For question 3, it says circle the value of 0.15 as a fraction. So again, all we need to do is convert this as a fraction. So that's going to be 15 over 100. And then we can simplify that fraction as 3 over 20. Correct that. 3 over 20, which is our third option. Moving on to question 4, it says here is a parallelogram. It says circle the expression for the perimeter. So if that's going to be w, that's going to be s. So it's going to be 2s plus 2w, which is again our first option. Then for question 5, it says work out the value of a squared plus a minus 4a when a is 10. So here we're going to just substitute a equals 10. So we've got 10 squared minus 4 times 10, which is 100 minus 40, which gives us an answer of 60. Moving on to question 6, it says that 16 people were asked to name their favourite fruit juice. Here are the results, and it says one of the people was picked at random. Work out the probability that their favourite juice was orange or mango. So here, orange or mango is going to be 9 people, so it's going to be 9 out of 16. And does that simplify? No, it doesn't, so that there is our final answer. Moving on to question 6b, it says on the grid draw a bar chart. So for this, what we need to do is, first of all, we need to make sure that we've got gaps between the bars and each bar is the same width, and so is the space between each bar. So we've got apple, we've got grapefruit, we've got orange, and we've got mango. And then if we sort of label our frequency going all the way up to 6, and again, need to be encouraging you to use a ruler, which is very difficult on the computer. And so for the first one, it should be going up to 6. So this, they're feeling a bit guilty, so let's do some actual bars. And so the first one needs to go up to 6. And let me just neaten that up. See, that's going to be very time consuming to get this done. And the next one needs to go all the way up to 1. And so make that a little bit neater. There we go. And then for the third one, it needs to go up to 4. Like so. And the final one needs to go up to 5. Hopefully should be really not too bad. Moving on to question 7, it says 6 cakes cost £10.74. Work out the cost of 11 of these cakes. So for this, what we need to do is do 10.74 divided by 6 to work out the price of one cake, which is £1.79 each. And then we multiply that by 11. So we type that into our calculator and it should have the answer of £19.69. Question 8, it says here is a cuboid, work out the volume. Well, to work out the volume, all we need to do is just make sure that all the units are the same, and then we multiply all the 3 different dimensions together. So it's going to be 6 times 8 times 5, and if I do that, we should have an answer of 48 times 5, which is 240. Moving on to question 9, it says work out the 2 numbers that are multiples of 9 and have a difference of 54. So you might want to start by actually writing down the 9 times table, and you don't need to go too crazy on this. And let me just go all the way up to 99. And then to do this, what I would recommend that you do is start with one number and then add 54 and see if the answer appears in the 9 times table. Or appears on the list that you've written. So possible combinations you could have are 9 and 63. You could have 18 and 72. You could have 27 and 81. You could have 27. Sorry, I've done that one. Let's go back. We could have, and trying to think of another one. We could have 36 and 90. We could have 45 and 99, and we could have 54 and 108. So any of those would be absolutely fine for the 2 marks. Moving on to question 10, it says convert 11.2 kilometers into miles. Use this conversion. Now here we've got kilometers and we've got miles, and then we've got 8 to 5, which is what we know, and we've been told that we want to convert 11.2 kilometers. Now for this, just think to yourself, well, how do I get 8 to 11.2? Well, if I divide by 8, which gives me 1, then multiply by 11.2. Now I'm going to do these 2 instructions on the other side. So for this, I'm going to take 5, I'm going to divide by 8, then multiply by 11.2, and if I do that on my calculator, I should end up with an answer of 7. Moving on to question 11, it says Annie spends these amounts of time in 4 shops using £20, £10 and £5 notes. In each shop she pays the exact amount, uses the smallest possible number of notes. Work out the total number of each note she uses. So for £65, using these notes, as you can see, well, that's going to be 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 5. Then for 40, that's going to be 20 plus 20. For 115, that's going to be 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 10 plus 5. And to 75, it's going to be 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 10 plus 5. Then if I add up the total number of 20s, I get that there are 13. So it's going to be, in terms of £20 notes, that's going to equal 13. For the £10 notes, that's going to be 2. And for the £5 notes, that's going to be 1, 2, and 3. Moving on to question 12, it says that a sports team has played 40 games, and it says that half of the games were at home and half of the games were away. Each game was a win, draw, or a loss. Of the home games, 2/5 were losses, and of the away games, 1/10 were wins. And the question is asking us to complete the frequency tree. Now let me just zoom out, and so we can see all of those majority on the screen. So here it says that half the games were away and at home, so that's going to be half of 40 is 20. Then from this, and using this bit of information now, so of the home games, which were 20, we want to work out 2/5 of 20. Now of just means times, so if I enter that on the calculator, 2/5 times 20, that's going to give me an answer of 8. Then if I do the same with the away games, that's going to be 1/10 of 20, so that's a times, and that's going to give me an answer of 2. So that then is going to be 2. And then from this, we can see to work out the middle numbers, well, that's going to be 20 minus 7 minus 8, because all of these three need to add up to 20. And that gives me an answer of 5. And if I do the same where all of these add up to 20, now that's going to be an answer of 6. The next question then says the team gets 6 points for a win, 3 points for a draw, and 0 points for a loss. Work out the total number of points that the team got. So for this, what we need to do is look at the home games. And that's going to be, well, how many wins did they get? Well, that's going to be 7 times 6. And they got 5 draws. So that's going to be 5 times 3. So that's going to be 42 plus 15, which equals 57 points. And if we look at the away games, they won 2 games and drew 6. So that's going to be 12 plus 18, which gives me an answer of 30 points. Then all we then need to do is add those two numbers up and we get 87 points. Moving on to question 13, it says factorise fully. So you can see that both the terms have got numbers. What's the biggest number that goes into 50 and 100? Well, that's going to be 50. So 50 times what gives you 50x? That's going to be x. And 50 times what gives you 100? Well, that's going to be 2. Moving on to question 14, it says some buttons are red or blue in the ratio of 3 to 5. What fraction of the buttons are red? Well, here with fractions, it's always how many you've got over the total. So here I've got 3 red out of a total of 8 parts. So it's 3 over 8, which is our third option. Question 15, it says which of these is a correct statement about a cube? Has it got 12 edges, 12 faces, 12 planes, or 12 vertices? Well, edges is the number of sides, so that's definitely true. Faces, well, there's only got 6 faces. Planes, again, is looking at the same sort of thing with regards to flat surfaces and vertices. So the correct answer we should have ticked is going to be 12 edges. Moving on to question 16, it says that AB and CD are parallel. F and G is a straight line. Work out the size of angle X. So looking at this, we can see that this angle here is going to be 180 minus 53 because it's on a straight line, which gives me an angle of 127. Now this angle completed is also going to be 127 because it is a corresponding angle, so like an F angle. So that means that X plus 48 equals 127. So X equals 127, take away 48, which gives me an answer of 79 degrees. Moving on to question 17, it says Harry and his sister Jess have some money in the ratio of 1 to 4. It says Harry has £7.35 and they pay £16.99 for a present for a friend. Harry uses 1/3 of his money and Jess pays the rest. How much money does Jess have left? So for this, let's start off by just writing down the ratio. So H and J, and we've got the ratio of 1 to 4. Now in the question it says that Harry has £7.35. So that means that 1 part equals £7.35. So 4 parts is going to be 4 times £7.35, which is 29 and 40 pence. So that's how much Jess has. So Jess has £29 and 40 pence. I'm going to shelve that for now. So now let's have a look at the present. So here we've got 1/3 of £7.35. Remember, of means times. So it's going to be 1/3 times 7.35. And that comes up to a total of £2.45. So then if Jess pays the rest, so this is, write down what this £2.45 is. So that's Harry's contribution. So then Jess's contribution is going to be £16.99 minus £2.45, which is £14.45. and 54 pence. So then how much does Jess have left? So Jess's remaining amount is going to be £29.40 minus £14.54 pence, which is a total of £14.86 pence. And there is the final answer. Moving on to question 18, it says solve 10x minus 3 equals 21. So again, you want to get x by itself. So we add the 3. You know what's going on there. So we add the 3. In which we get 10x equals 24. And we divide by 10. Give us an answer of 2.4. And for question 19, it says work out which of these fractions is closer to the value of 0.5. And it says you must show you're working out. So 5 over 16 is, as a decimal, is going to be 0.13125 rather. Get that out of my mouth. And then we've got 17 over 25, which is 0.68. Now, if I take away 0.5 from both these numbers, I get an answer of this one is going to be minus 0.1875, and this one is going to be plus 0.18. So out of these digits, which one is smaller? Well, it's going to be 17 over 25. Moving on to question 20, it says point B is 400 meters north of A, and mark point B on the centimeter grid. Use a scale of 1 centimeter. It represents 100 meters. So for this, what we need to do is we need to do two things. So one, we need to mark where 400 meters is, and we also need to look at the fact that it's northeast. So northeast is going to be looking at an angle of, so if this is north and this is east, the northeast is going to be exactly in between. So let me just start by drawing a line through those points like so. So this is my northeast line. Now if I then kind of just remove those two lines there, the next thing I then need to do is I need to then get a compass, and let me just make sure it's a different color, and draw a circle of 4 centimeters. Now that kind of needs to go in the center, which again, incredibly difficult to do on the computer. So I'm going to kind of hope that that is pretty much right. So this has got a radius of 4 centimeters on the compass, and so my point B is going to be where those two lines intersect, which is going to be here, and that's where B is going to be. Then moving on to question 20b, it says that points C and D are shown on a different centimeter grid. Work out the bearing of D from C. So we're going in this direction here, and so if we draw our north line using bearings, and it's this angle here that I'm wanting, and that's going to be 180 degrees. The next question then says work out the actual distance in meters from D to C. Use a scale of 1 to 1000. So here we can see that the distance is 3 centimeters. Now, so if this is 3 centimeters, then this has got to be 1,000 times more. So that's going to be 3,000 centimeters. Now, what's 3,000 centimeters in meters? So we need to convert this into meters, and we do that by dividing by 100, in which then we get the answer of 30. Moving on to question 21, it says that Lynn works as a bus driver. She's paid £10.80 per hour for the first 38 hours she works each week. She's paid 25% more per hour for each extra hour she works. 1 week, Lynn is paid £491.40. In total, how many hours did she work that week? You must show your working out. So first of all, there's a couple of ways in which you could approach this question. So I would say let's work out the overtime pay first. So the overtime pay is going to be £10.80 plus 25% more. So if I multiply that by 1.25, I get an answer of £13.50 per hour. So that's her overtime pay. Now the next thing we then can work out is, well, let's have a look at how much she earns working 38 hours. So working 38 hours is going to be 38 times £10.80, which comes up to a total of £410.40. So in terms of the overtime pay, that's going to be her total pay, which was £491.40, minus the standard pay, which was £410.40, and that comes up to a total of £81 of overtime pay. Now to work out the overtime hours, let's just use a different color here. So the overtime hours is going to be £81 divided by the pay, which is £13.50, and that comes up to 6 hours. So then what we then need to do is the total hour worked, or total hours worked, is going to be 38 plus 6, which gives us an answer of 44 hours. And there is our final answer. Moving on to question 22, it says the square root of x is 4. Circle the value of x squared. Well, the square root of x is 4, so then x equals 16. So then 16 squared is going to be 256. Question 23, it says here is a rule for a sequence. It says after the first 2 terms, each term is the sum of the previous 2 terms. The first 5 terms are P, 23Q, 57R. Work out the values of P, Q and R. So looking at this, well, let's have a look at the first 2. So this plus this, so P plus 23 equals Q. We then know that 23 plus Q equals 57, and we then know that Q plus 57 equals R. Now from this you can see that one of those equations only got 1 letter, so from this I can work out Q in the fact that Q equals 57 minus 23, and I get an answer of 34. So Q equals 34. Now what I can do there is just write 34 there. Now that I know that Q equals 34, I can then look at this and say that P equals 23 equals 34. So P equals 34 minus 23. So P is going to equal 11. And then finally, I can then work out what R is, as Q is 34. So it's going to be 34 plus 57 equals R. So R equals 91. Moving on to question 24, it says that here is a triangle ABC. Assume that the angle ACB is 90 degrees. Work out the length of AB. So if this is 90 degrees, so it's going to be a right angle triangle, and so then therefore I can use Pythagoras. So here we've got that x squared equals 15 squared plus 7 squared. So x squared equals, and if I type that into my calculator, I get 274. So x equals the square root of 274. So x equals 16.6, and that's been rounded to 1 decimal place. Moving on to B, it says the actual length of AB is greater than the answer to part A. What does this mean about angle ACB? Now ACB is this angle here. So if it's going to be longer than what we've said, then that means that this line here is going to be going on a little bit more, and that's going to be 15. So here it's talking about this angle. So as you can see, it's going to be bigger. It's going to stretch that angle. So it's actually going to be more than 90 degrees. So we need to tick our third box. Question 25, it says rearrange G equals 3H minus 1 to make H a subject. So for this, if I just write down the question. So let's get rid of the 1 first. So we do that by adding 1. I've got G plus 1 equals 3H. I then need to get rid of the 3. So I divide by 3. So it's going to be H equals G plus 1 all divided by 3. Then moving on to question 26, it says describe fully the transformation that maps ABC to the triangle ADE. Now ABC is the big triangle, so we're going from the big triangle to the small triangle, which is really important that we recognize that. Now in terms of the transformation, we can see that if I just highlight the two triangles, we've got this triangle here and we've got this triangle here. And so we're looking at an enlargement, which will get you 1 mark. Now with an enlargement, we need to state the scale factor. So we're going from big to small and we're looking at a quarter. And the reason why it's a quarter is because this length here is 4, this length here is 1, and the scale factor is the side of the new shape, which is the numerator, over the same side on the original shape, which is 4. We then need to measure the center, which in this case is the shared point, which is going to be at 3, 9. Then moving on to question 27, it says that a ball contains 5,000 centimeter cubes of air. More air is pumped into the ball at a rate of 160 centimeter cubed per second. The ball is full of air and when it becomes a sphere with a radius of 15 centimeters. We've got the formula for the volume of a sphere, and the question is asking us, does it take less than 1 minute to fill the ball? Well, the first thing let's work out is the volume of the sphere. So to do that, we're going to do 4/3 times pi times the radius, which is 15, and that's 15 cubed, and that gives us an answer of 4,500 pi. Or if I converted that as a decimal, it's going to be 14137.16694. Then from this, what we can then do is then take this away from the air that's in the ball already. So here, so the air left is going to be 14137.16694. Take away 5,000, and that gives us an answer of 9137.166941. So that's how much air is left. So then if I then divide that by the rate of which we're looking at, which is 160, so it's 9137.166941 divided by 160. That gives us an answer of 57.10729, blah, blah, blah. And that's going to be in seconds. So is that time less than 1 minute? So yes, it does. And it's always important that you do answer the yes, no question with a yes or no right at the end once you've shown your working out and your mathematical working. Moving on to question 28, it says P is a positive number, N is a negative number. For each statement, tick the correct box. Now, rather than using P and N, try and use positive and negative numbers and try and think if you can work that way. So here, if I had a positive number plus a negative number, is it always positive? That might be the case, but it's not always true. Then if I end with a positive number, I don't know what I'm doing that. So positive plus, take away a negative number. Well, 2 minuses make a plus. So is that always positive? Yes. Then here we've got a positive number squared plus a negative number squared. Now a negative number squared is always going to give you a positive answer. So you're going to end up with a positive plus a positive. Is that a positive answer? Yes, it is. Then here, P cubed. Well, a positive number cubed gives us a positive answer. A negative number cubed will give us a negative answer. And then here we've got an odd number of negative numbers. So that means that it's always going to be negative, not positive. So that is never going to be true. Then moving on to question 29, it says that 250 trains arrived at a station. The number of trains that were late were recorded after every 50 trains. The table shows the information about the results, and it says complete the relative frequency. Now, relative frequency is basically the number of times it occurred over the total number of trials. So this box here is going to be 36 divided by 150, which is 0.24. This next one is going to be 38 divided by 200, and that gives us an answer of 0.19. And then the third one is going to be 55 divided by 250, which gives us 0.22. And on the graph, I just need to plot those coordinates. So here I've got 0.19, which is there. Then no, it isn't. I've marked that one wrong. So let me just go back and change that. So the next one's actually 0.24, which is there. The next one is 0.19, which is there. And the next one then is 0.22, which is there. And then all I then need to do with a ruler, which I'm going to kind of not use, but you should, with a straight line, join those points up, and you should have something that looks like that. Then says write down the best estimate for the probability of a train arriving to the station late. Now for this, you want to use the data that uses the maximum number of trials. Now that one is going to be this. So the best probability you can use, or the most accurate, is going to be the last one, the one with the most trials. So that's going to be 0.22. Then moving on to our next question, it says A, B and C are 3 points on a circle. The radii from A, B and C are shown. Is AC the diameter of the circle? So as A to O, let's just call this O. So as A to O and OC are radiuses, the circle, if AC is the diameter, then 5x plus 40 should equal 180 degrees. So that's the fact that I'm going to be using. Now in terms of this, the facts that I know is that all angles around a point add up to 360. So here we've got x plus 2x plus 20 plus 5x plus 40 should equal 360. Now if I neaten all of this up, I get x plus 4x plus 40 plus 5x plus 40 should add up to 360, and that comes up to 10x plus 80 equals 360. Now if I take that away, I get 10x equals 280, so x equals 28. Then from this fact, we can then use and try and work out, so therefore 5x plus 40 is going to be 5 times 28 plus 40, which does equal 180, so therefore AC is the diameter of the circle, and so the answer is yes. And then moving on to question 31. So here it says that a straight line has a gradient of 6 and passes through the point 319. Work out the equation of the line in the form of y equals mx plus c. Now the gradient we've been told is 6, so m equals 6. So let's just write that as a little box. So from this, and we've got here, this is our x value and this is our y value. So what we need to do is work out what c is. So substituting those numbers in, I get 19 equals 6 times 3 plus c. So 19 equals 18 plus c. So c equals 1. And then using these two bits of information, and then using this equation here, and substituting those numbers in, I get an equation of a line of y equals 6x plus 1, and there is my final answer and the last question in this paper. So As always, I'll include the grade boundaries for this individual paper in the description below so you can see what grade you've got on this individual paper. But ultimately, if you want to know your final grade, you're going to need to have completed all 3 papers in the series and then look at the official grade boundaries of overall those 3 papers.